I'd like to welcome our PAC 14 audience to our September 22nd Redistricting Commission meeting. This is our third meeting of this year. And before I ask to, first I need to call the meeting to order, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. Then we will need the approval of the minutes. Before we do that, though, just so there is a record, on page 5 of our minutes from the last meeting, which was August 11th, there was just a small typo on page 5. At the top of the page, it said the ideal population was 20,845. In the third paragraph from the bottom, last line, it said the ideal population was 2,845. So that has been corrected to 20,845, so the numbers match. So then with that, are there any other additions or corrections to the minutes from our last meeting?
The last meeting's date was September 8th. You misstated that. Just an accident. I'll move approval of it.
Let's see. Did I get it wrong? Approval of minutes from August. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I was looking at the wrong thing. Thank you. Last minute. Okay. Thank you very much. Anything else? Any other additions, corrections from my statements? Okay. Then I need a motion to approve the minutes. Dr. Nagel has a motion. I need a second.
Second.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Great. Thank you. Okay, Mr. McKenzie, we'll turn this over to you, please.
Okay. Well, as you can see, I've provided a series of maps, a set for this side of the table and a set for this side of the table that provide 4 different scenarios. One scenario was a balanced map that basically you try to get as close to the ideal population as possible. We did another one where the commission requested that we try to get down to a 2% deviation above or below. There's another one where we did a minimal impact, which was the least amount of activity of moving lines that was required in order to meet the law. And the final one was there were a couple of requests to move. There were 2 areas identified. One of them was up on the way towards San Domingo, heading towards Sharktown, a little bit north of Hebron, where there was like a narrow area. There's also discussion of taking out Hebron out of District 1 and putting that in District 2. So I'll go through each one of these individually. What I've provided is in one sheet, it's got the horizontal landscape sheet. This breaks out each scenario, which gives you a detailed analysis, and it tells you like what's the largest size of a district, what's the smallest size, what's the overall range, and the mean deviation. So based on all 5 scenarios, 5 districts, what is the average of that deviation? So there's one of these for each scenario. Then on the second sheet is the one that's in black and white. This basically is a snapshot of the tables that's on the first sheet, but this puts them all on one sheet so you can compare easily without having to shift from one sheet to another. So the first one breaks out each of the 4 scenarios. And then the second sheet behind that is based on each scenario, how many people were moved in each of these different scenarios. And that ranges from 49 people to 3,369 people. So I'll go through each of these. I'll start with the one on top, which would be the minimal impact. Now, when we met the first time, we discussed an area of District 4. District 4 at the time was the only district that was not in compliance with, the 5% deviation requirements from the law. So in this case, you voted last time to first make a map adjustment. Basically, there was zero population, but it was just it wasn't a pretty map feature. So we moved something from District 1 into District 2. And otherwise, it was just, in this case, it was a green, a little appendage, little leg going down in the middle of nowhere. Although zero population, this really neatens up the map. But in order to make District 4 in compliance, we could move an area over near the park and the subdivision village in the park that has 49 people in it. And by moving those 49 people from District 3 to District 4, that district now comes into compliance. So now when you look at this table of the minimal impact, all of those deviations are below the 5% allowance. Now, on the map in front of you, the black lines are the existing districts. And I'll pull up a PDF of this.
Frank, question. Did you carry that change through all the different maps that we have in front of us?
At a minimum, in one of the scenarios, that area got a little bit bigger.
Okay, because I noticed.
But at a minimum, there's some areas in District 4 along that same area that were adjusted from one district to another. So I'm going to try to, I'm not having much luck working with this software, but so in this case, the black lines are the existing districts. And here, there's some black lines here. You can see these two blocks right here. This is where we moved population from District 3 to District 4. There are no other changes to this map. So that was minimum. We'll go to balanced, which has the biggest changes in it. So I'm going to close this map and open up the balanced. Now, as you look at the balanced, an effort was made to get the deviation as low as possible. And if you go to page 4 of that first sheet, that has the landscape version, you'll see that the largest district was 21,064 people with a deviation of 1.05%. The smallest district was 20,718 with a deviation of negative 0.61%. In the 4 lines down, you'll see a mean deviation. So that's the average of all the deviation of all 5 districts. And that gets you down to less than 1%, 0.50%. But as mentioned before, when we do that, that's where we're moving the most amount of people. So in this case, in the balanced, we're moving 3,369 people. And there were 11 areas affected where people were moved. Now, if you want, I can kind of give an overview of each of the 4 scenarios. And then if you want to go back and start looking in details of each of the ones, let you consider that.
I think that's a good idea. What do you think?
Yes, please.
That's what we had after the first.
Okay.
Frank, could you just zoom out so I can see the whole map? If you would.
So the black line on here is the existing districts. And this one, we're looking at is the balanced district. That's the one where most people were moved. So we'll look at the requests scenario. So there was concern, I think you had measured 900 and some feet
900 feet, yeah.
in this little throat right here. Was able to add this area here, so it's not quite so narrow at that point. And then there was discussion about getting Hebron out of District 1 into District 2. Now, this could still be adjusted. If you look here, this is a corporate limit line, right, that goes around here. There's still 6 people in this large block of land that could be moved from District 1 to District 2. And let's take a look at that if we do that. Uh-oh. That's not good. Map text is not responding. There we go. So we're going to go to District 2. So that one big block took 6 people over. The deviation from District 2 is now 0.19%. In District 1 is 3.02%. The percent black in District 1 is 59.66%. So that would give you all of Hebron, in District 2. Right now, it's agricultural field. I think there's sod out there mostly. But that, in addition to what we had to do for District 4, so that's going to be consistent through all the scenarios, making sure District 4 has the minimum it needs for compliance. Okay.
Should we ask if wants to be discussion about Hebron, whether we leave it, I'm going to say kind of split or in its entirety, or you want to keep going and look at the rest of it first? Okay.
Okay, and then the final one would be the 2%. So this is where the request was to get this as close as 2% as possible. Now, getting it on 2% is as difficult as getting it on to 0%. It's like whack-a-mole. Once you move something from one district to another, both those numbers change. So there's lots of different ways to do this. The scenario I came up with, if you look at the blue sheet under the 2%, one of the largest districts was 3.01% deviation. The smallest was 0.88% deviation. But when you balance out all 5 districts, the average deviation was 2.07% deviation. So while we couldn't hit on all the districts on an average, we were able to do something, meeting that 2%. Now, if the goal is to try to get this further, each district down to 2%, it'll, like I mentioned before, it'll be a lot of give and take.
And with the 2% map, it looks like you've moved a total of 1,280 people.
That's correct.
Okay.
And there were 7 areas that were affected in the 2%.
Can we look at those areas then?
Yes, we can. So we're looking at the 2%. I'll start up here in the north corner. So this area here has remained consistent. Here is where we're just looking at this area around Hebron. So there's an area up here.
So that moves Hebron from,
This is taking this area north of Hebron out of District 1 and putting it in District 2.
the main body of Hebron remains
The
there.
main body still stays in District 1.
Okay.
This is an area down closer to Salisbury. This is Route 349. I think this is Parsons Road, I think. Yeah, Parsons Road. So this is an area that was in District 1 that was moved to District 4.
District 2.
District 2, excuse me.
How many people in that area?
Okay.
It's on the map.
It's on the map.
Which is, I don't see it, no, that's, no.
No, it's on your map.
It's on the one,
Oh, here, okay, 115. Okay.
yes.
Does that area include the McDonald's and the car wash and unpopulated?
Well, there's a triangle right here.
Yeah, so that's where McDonald's is. No, yeah, that is where McDonald's.
Hold on. I'm talking to my computer, not to you. I turn on the air photography. So this area right here is the McDonald's
Okay, so it's,
and the car wash. Over here, there's commercial areas, but I think it's Pemberton Manor. Is that what it's called? Right in this area. Oh, no, that's down here, excuse me. This is the Acme
It's a food line over there.
Food Line.
The food line, Pecan Square, drugstore on the corner, Dairy Queen,
Right. It's all right
all
there.
of that in there.
There'd be too many people in there.
There, what did it say, 115 people
yeah.
Are there?
in this area?
What impact does that have on the percentage black in District 1, if any?
You want for me to try to remove that area and see what it does? Okay. So I'm going to put that back in District 1.
296, 296.
Let me turn off the photography. So that was 115 people we were talking about. And the percentage now for the District 1 minority is 57.73. So it was 57.96.
That would suggest that most of the population in that pink shaded area there is black population. The effect of moving more black people into the minority district. Is that right?
I'm trying to see here. there were 17 black people moved in that area. Okay, as we scroll around. So this one, in addition to those blocks over here with the 49 people, there's an area, I think this is Glen Avenue here, that was added. And I think there are 613 people that live in that block here. There's a apartment complex right here. There looks like 387 people. There's 82 people that live over here. It's at Brookshire on the park. There's a few people that live on North Park Drive. Looks like 13 in these areas.
Yeah, it's mostly ball fields and skateboard. Is that the block I'm thinking of?
That's further down on the south part. Let's see who that is. So there's a ball field there. And I think a new skate park is somewhere down in here. So here is the fire station. So the skate park is somewhere up in this area.
If you guys want to move closer, you're more than welcome to sit on this table in the front. It might give you a better view of it.
Thank you.
Can't see the numbers, but I'm seeing the map just fine.
Those people would be moving from 5 to 4.
From 3 to 4.
3 to 4, sorry.
Okay, so then heading out Mount Hermon Road, there's an area when you get just past the bypass. This was District 5. There were approximately, if we look, 69 people in this area. And if you go farther down, it's a little larger area, but this area was moved from 5 to 3, and there are 149 people in that area. So as I'm going through this exercise, I'm trying to look at this and try to make it so the lines try to make some sense. You know, some of these, you can do smaller blocks, but you just don't want to have, you know, just go around, you know, that block there and this block here and skip that one. You know, you try to find something where the lines look smooth. Like in this area, you could have chopped off less of that block, but I just thought that kind of smooth, you know, made some easy boundaries for the Board of Elections to look at and work with. There's an area up here along Route 13. As you're heading north and you go past where all the car lots are and you get to Zion Road, and West Zion Road heads off a little bit to the west and then north. There's a block in here. This is Route 13. So there's a block in here that was, instead of using Zion Road, just use Route 13 as the boundary. And there were 45 people that lived in that area.
Where would they be moving from what to?
They'd be moving from 5 to 1.
What's the racial balance among that group?
Okay, I got to figure that out. So I'm going to go to district. Back to District 5. Something here first. So there were 45 people moved there, and 9 of those were black. Yes. So in this case, we added 9 black to District 1.
You're adding 36 white people too.
Yeah.
That would have the effect of decreasing the percentage of minorities in the district. I think that we should definitely avoid packing the minority district with every black person in the county. But we should have the minority district have enough people that they are going to have. That's the purpose.
So is there consensus to move that back to District 3?
Where is it currently?
District 5.
Or District 5, excuse me?
Where is it currently?
Well, it was in District 5. I put it into District 1, and that was in an effort to work on the population while still maintaining.
On this specific map?
Yes.
Or that specific map? So we only make a motion if we're actually going to move, actually move something, right?
Well, last time we sort of tentatively did on one, but that was the one near the park.
Yeah,
Where very
yes,
few
yeah.
people live near the,
So you could make motions on all these different maps and all these different blocks.
keeping track will be interesting.
And then what it'll do, it'll carry through to the next map, or continue to carry through.
Well-
Until we get to the end and decide, I think, Frank, whether or not we,
Well,
Keep
as
them
I
or not
work
keep
through, we're
I
editing
think-
one map at a time.
I think this is a reasonable move.
I'm uncomfortable with this approach, completely uncomfortable, because we're making these moves without context, and we got a narrative from the council saying what we needed to do legally, and they preferred that we not make too many changes, and of course they would. They won on the current map. But we haven't been told about what Wicomico County looks like in 2020, where we are and who we are. So I went to the census data, and this is the problem I have. This county is approximately 1/3 rural, 1/3 live in the city of Salisbury, 1/3 live in the built-up areas around Salisbury, and 1/3 a minority. But when you look at the original map and all of these maps, the rural population has a majority in 3 out of 5 districts. That's inequitable.
a majority, you're saying the number of residents who live there. That's what you're,
Majority
to clarify
population
that.
in 2, 5, and 3, the majority of the population in all 3 districts live in the rural parts of the county. Those of us in the central part of the county that make up 67% of the population only have a majority in 2 districts.
It's the same number of people, though. It's by people. So you have 20,000, 20,000, 20,000, 20,000, 20,000.
But that's not, county government, the local issues that you face in county government are schools, taxes, fire, but in urban areas and built-up areas, issues that are more concerned to us in urban and built-up areas are gas lines, water lines, sewer lines, street cleaning, street lighting.
I really think that's like a bigger issue than like what we're.
But isn't that what we're trying to, aren't we trying to make this map equitable? Don't we want to make it equitable and reflect
Well,
who we are in the county? Don't we?
We're trying to make it equitable for voting.
right.
We're not trying to make it equitable for the services.
But you're taking my voice away. I live in that urban area. You're taking my voice and the voice of my neighbors away from me because the people who live in the rural areas control 3 districts.
Well, remember, not all these people are eligible to vote that are in this population that we're doing. You can't vote until you're at least 18, and if you look at, I don't have the numbers in front of me, past elections, which you can find on the State Board of Elections, that the numbers are much smaller of those who vote than who actually live in the districts.
That's reasonable, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
But then still, we're dividing the population up in such a way that those of us who live in the center of the county have, our voices are diminished because we do not form a majority in 3 districts as we should. We only form a majority in 2, 4 and 1. But we're the majority of the population, but we don't have form a majority in a majority of the districts.
But each district has a representative, and you bring your issues to your representative who sits
But-
on either the city council or the county council.
But that's
And
exactly
those are
my
the
point.
people who are supposed to express your issues.
That's exactly my point. We've got 3 representatives expressing the views of their constituents, which will live in the rural parts of the county. We only have 2. For those of us who represent 67% of the population, we only have 2 representatives.
But you really
Well,
don't, because you
no,
have
you-
20,000 and 20,000. Let's just take it by numbers. So that's 40,000 people,
Right.
okay? Then you have 20,000 here, 20,000 here, and 20,000 here. So if you look at it that way, you're really not the majority. The 20 and 20 and 20 is 60,000 people to the 40,000 people.
That's
So-
sophistry. That's because you've taken people from the urban core and divided us up. That's what you've done.
So my question is, are you saying that your district should be bigger and have more people?
No, what I'm
than
saying
other
is,
districts?
one of our objectives should be, is to make sure that at least one more district has a majority in the central core. And if you do that, then 2 districts will have rural majorities, which reflects their population of a third. 3 districts will have people who live in built-up areas with majorities, which reflects their population, 60%. The other thing, too, is that African Americans make up 30% of the population, not 20. So Kel's point is correct. So the way this map is made now, the African American population does not have a sizable minority in any other district. They only have the majority in 1 and no sizable minority in any of the others, though they represent 30% of the population. So their voice is also being diminished as well. Now that's my view. These maps diminish the voices of me and my neighbors, and I'm not happy about that.
Well, as I look at this, and you look at the districts such as 1, though it land-wise has a lot in the rural area, majority of the population is going to be,
Yes, and
City of
that's
Salisbury.
that's one of the majority urban.
so District 4, majority of the people
Exactly.
in that district are, actually all of them are city residents. District 3, if you look at it, I was going to say District 3, you look at it, just by looking at it, I'm thinking a majority of the population of District 3 live either in the city,
No.
in the suburbs, and then in the town of Fruitland.
No, 47, these are the statistics. I went through all the numbers. District 1 is 69% central core. District 2 is 44%. District 3 is 47%. District 4 is 100%. And District 5 is 33%. So the rural population forms a 56% majority in 2, a 53% majority in 3, and a 67% majority in 5.
True, it still includes the suburbs.
But our purpose is for voting purposes again, and representation, is to make each of the 5 districts as equal as possible. That's what our requirement is.
That's correct.
And that's what we are required to do.
Equal
With the
the
loose-
amount of people.
It's the same amount of people.
Right.
With moving as few as possible is, I believe, the request of the council, and maintaining District 1 as the minority district.
Well, if that's the principle.
So that's different
Then why don't
than-
we just make changes to 16004 and 16005, taking blocks from those two precincts, from 3, and putting them in 1? And
Now, the precincts may change. Remember, once the state gets through,
I
we're
know,
doing
yes,
ours
fine.
first.
Right.
Once the state gets through with their redistricting for delegates and for the representatives, these precincts may not be what they currently are. They may change, they may disappear, depending on
But if
how.
we-
So we can't do it by precincts either. We're
but we
really
can
doing
take
it by
blocks.
population in each councilmatic
We can
district.
take blocks from those two precincts, which will give an urban majority in 2, and make District 1 34% minority, giving African Americans an opportunity to gain a second seat. These maps just give more power to people who live in rural districts. That's what these maps do.
I just have
I
to politely
disagree.
disagree.
Yeah, I disagree.
And I disagree with you, too. Any comments from this end of the table?
If we were to go the route of trying to create a second minority district, reading the minutes from the last one, they were talking about gerrymandering. There would be significant amounts of gerrymandering to accomplish that.
All you have to do is change a few blocks from 3 to 4 in precinct 16004 or 16005. That's all you have to do.
I need an explanation of where those precincts are.
Fruitland, the northern end of Fruitland,
Put them in,
into 4.
increasing the minority population in 4.
I think right now between 4 and Fruitland, isn't that a river or a stream that we're using as a,
Tony Tank, isn't it?
This is
Tony Tank in there right now, Frank?
Yes.
So we would have to cross that to do that?
This is Route 13 here. This is Camden Avenue going up into Salisbury. This is Tony Tank that goes out all the way out to the bypass. So I'm not sure exactly where 16.4 is, but if I could explore.
16004 is actually the part of Fruitland west of 13. So you already took some of 16004 and put it into 2.
Okay, so you want to say this area in pink right here would go from.
Well, that's 16004. 16005 is on the other side.
Over here?
Yeah.
And you want to put this, some of this into District 4?
Well, you've got all these maps. No, I don't. What I want to do is look at this from a larger perspective. What I don't want to do is look at, we're moving 115 here and 149 there. What I want to do is, do the district maps of this county actually reflect who we are and where we are? And they don't. And you can disagree, but they don't. They reflect highways. That's what the current district system reflects, where highways are. Not who we are, not where we are.
I was going to say, the other piece in this is we are supposed to use natural boundaries when we set up these districts as much as possible.
And fair enough. No, I get that. That's fine. Highways aren't natural boundaries, but
Well, it's considered a major boundary. Rivers, streams, major roads. So what are you suggesting we move then, Frank?
Well,
What does he want to try, I guess? And then we
having,
can,
having played with it over the last couple of weeks, you know, if we have these goals, if we make a minimum number of changes as the council has asked, and the goal of making the districts more reflective of who and where we are, all we really have to do is that section of the map right there. The only changes I would suggest is move blocks from 16004 and 16005 out of District 3 and put them in 1 and 2. And if you do that, District 2 goes from 44% rural to 50-50 with people in the built-up center, and District 1 would have a minority population of about 33%.
District 1 or District 4?
District 4, I'm sorry, District 4.
I guess the question is, I don't understand where you can draw the lines, because I don't see any precinct lines on this. Are there precinct lines, Frank?
Not in this.
No.
Not on
Okay.
this side, no.
So we don't know
Well,
where the precinct lines are.
Precinct 16004 is, that one's easy to figure out. It's Route 13, and where Frank has the blue line, that's the western edge of 16004. The eastern edge is Route 13. And then 16005 is pretty much everything to the west within the city of Fruitland. Where you see the boundary lines for Fruitland, that's precinct 16005.
So if I were to move this, you're saying this area here might go into District 4, and this area here would go into District 2.
District 2, yeah.
Well, you know, as we do that, you know, do you want to experiment with that right now with the?
I mean, you can. I just don't feel comfortable, like, doing this for your benefit or what you think, because it's your one voice and one person, and I don't really feel that you necessarily represent every single person in District 1. And while I think, well, hold on, while I think your efforts are great, our goals were given to us by a higher up. So if you have an issue with the goals of what they, or the rules, or like, rules is not the right word, but this, you know, they gave us, stick with this, stick with this, stick with this. Like, we were given that. So
I
we
could live with the
really,
goals.
for this, but I think for this meeting, like for this group, that's what we need to, I think your issue is a way bigger issue than what we can fix here. And so I just, I mean, I don't know, I don't know if anybody else agrees. Like, I just feel like we were given this rule, like, follow this, follow this, follow this. You know, there needs to be 20,000 people in each district. There needs to be this, there needs to be this. And I think your vision is not that, though. Like, I don't feel like your vision is
My
that.
vision is if we make the changes there, we meet all the goals we were instructed to meet.
But also adding in your personal agenda, and I don't love that. Like, I don't love that personal agenda.
Well, equity, I'm content to have equity.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I know, I think, like, not everybody is comfortable with that. I don't know, I don't want to speak for everybody. I'm just saying, like, I'm not necessarily comfortable just with, you know, your personal feelings towards this map of not being equitable. When we have people above us that have given us a task and guidelines.
And I'm perfectly willing to live within those guidelines. I haven't suggested anything that wouldn't live within those guidelines. In fact, my changes, the same changes I suggest, impact 2 precincts and a handful of blocks, which is exactly what the council said they wanted.
Well, and the other thing is that the only district where we're to be asked to be conscious of the white population, black population is District 1. We're, I believe, supposed to disregard what the population is, kind of as to color, race, nationality in the other 4 districts. Our concern is black and white in District 1 only. And I'm just not sure where you're going with these populations.
Equity, you know.
Well, that's what we're trying to do. We are trying to do equity
No, what
based
you're
on the
trying to do
directions
is silence
that was given
me
to
and
us.
my neighbors, and I'm not happy with that. Because what
Well,
you're
maybe-
doing is you're putting the rural people in charge of 60% of the districts. While me and the people that live in the center, me and my neighbors, we only have representatives from 2 districts.
Well, then
And
you
I
have,
don't know
then you
why
have
you
2
would think
voices
I
on
would
the
be happy
council.
with that.
I only have 1 voice on the council, so you're ahead of me.
Precisely.
I understand what you're saying because I have, believe me, I've been going over these maps, what you're saying. I don't know, and then at the same time, I don't know if we can fix the problem on this committee.
That was my point. I'm not saying your
You
concerns
know,
aren't valid.
what you're saying, I agree, I totally agree with, because I've been going over my head,
But this
with
committee.
it, but it's
yeah.
just not, it's,
But our job is to draw lines, is it not? So how is that not within our purview? The council did not specifically say, make the map equitable, but they did say, keep changes to to a minimum. We can keep changes to a minimum and change this map so it is more reflective of who and where we are.
I guess I don't understand the who and where we are part.
Because the majority of us live right here in Salisbury.
Okay.
He was talking about Hebron being separated into two districts. Lucky Hebron. My town is divided into 5.
But Salisbury is too big, it has too much, the size of the population in Salisbury is too big to put it in one
Of course.
councilmatic district.
But you don't have to-
Fruitland is
you can do
coming
it less
close
than
too.
5. You can put it in less than 5. So, this map is not fair to the city of Salisbury, it's not. And that probably reflects why the city of Salisbury does not enjoy a county tax break, and one of the few cities in the state that doesn't enjoy that county, because 3 of the people on that council have to answer to the minority, 1/3 of the population. So that's not surprising.
You're talking about the tax differential.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about.
That's a discussion that the council and the city council need to make, not this committee, though.
No, that's correct, that's true. That's not our purview, but the reason why that's happening, it doesn't happen, is this map.
Okay, Frank, did you make any other changes to this map, the 2%, what are we on, the 2% map?
This is a 2% map.
Right. Are there any other changes you have not shown us?
I think we've gone through all the areas, that were moved, that were identified, on the paper map that I showed you. So if
Okay.
you want to go, and there were, in the 2%, there were 7 areas.
I'm sorry, Frank, this is the 2% map?
We're looking at the 2% map now, yes.
And that's moving 1,280 people.
Yes.
Was there another map we need to see?
I think we've been through all 4.
Okay. So are there any other questions on this one? Anybody want to go back to another map? Now, this one does not widen the line up there on 54.
No, this one did not.
Okay.
Which
was one of the
That one that
concerns.
was request, was a
Right, that was on the request map.
separate map.
And that map moves 1,586 people.
Yes.
And that's 54 and Hebron
The request map is
area.
where Julie is trying to give,
I like the idea of balance, but I think moving 3,369 people is an awful lot. I'm not sure that, yeah.
looking at the lines, it's not too bad.
Well, does anybody have a preference towards any of these maps?
Any maps you don't want?
Maps, okay, any maps you don't want? How's that sound? I'm not in favor of the balanced map, I don't think, as much as I like to have it. The balance map, I just think moving 3,396 people is a lot of people to move.
It is
When we
probably
were-
half of them know what district they live in now.
Well, you'd be amazed how many people don't know where they live to vote.
The deviation
Wasn't clear.
on balanced is where we want it, but I see what you're saying too. Moving 3,000 people is a lot.
That would be also a lot for the Board of Elections to track.
Right.
Well, what do people think? Let's go down the list that Frank had. He had the balance map first, then he had go back to this, let's go back to the minimal map. That's the one we had from last time. What do you all think about that one? That's moving 49 people, that's moving the people along the city of Salisbury, the park,
Oh, okay.
and the village and the park.
That one, there was already a vote on that one
Right.
to make that change.
Okay.
Yes, those people.
Okay. But I mean, we could do that map since we've already made that decision, right? Yes. So we really have not made it final, any motions on the other three maps? Okay.
So that reflects the minimal map?
We could do that too. Right.
Right back where you started.
Making no progress.
The minimal map, that's the one with the, by the city, Salisbury City Park.
That's where basically 2 blocks were moved.
Right, just
49
to help straighten out the lines. And there was an area in there, there was no population, and then it's what, a village in the park?
Yes.
I think is the other piece with the 49 people.
Can we go back to the request map?
Yes.
That was what, widening along 54? And then the town of Hebron, Frank, was that all the changes in that one?
That's correct. So this area here was taken out of 2 and put in
One.
1.
Okay.
And, part of Hebron was taken out of 1
It's
and
just
put
the
into
6
2.
people, right, is still 1, but the other, it's like the whole town of Hebron then is part of 2 then on this one, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, if you want all of Hebron to be in one district, there's 6 people right now who are not in. They're a different district from other people in Hebron. So it'd
That
be an
method does
easy
make sense.
correction.
Yeah, it does make sense to add those 6.
So I'm going to put them in
How
district.
does that change the percentage? Because
It's only-
I understand what you're trying to do, but
It
that,
actually makes yours go, it makes the,
I'm not
are you in
even,
District 1?
I am in District 1, but
Yes.
I'm not even thinking about District 1. I'm thinking about them people, that town of Hebron.
I got you. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
It does have the percentage go up to 59.64 in
District 1, yeah.
If we move those 6 people, it'd be 59.66.
Oh, so it actually goes up even more.
If we're gonna unify.
Talk a little bit
towns.
closer in the mic for
So,
me.
why are we singling out Hebron to put together? If we're gonna do Hebron put Hebron together, that's fine. I don't have any problem with that, but if we're gonna do that to Hebron, why wouldn't we do the same to Fruitland?
I think the population is too large to,
If
it's
we
too expansive.
Split, if we,
So equity is for small, people in small towns and not for people in larger communities. Is that what we're saying here? Really, no, if you want to put Hebron together, fine, but if you do, I'm going to insist we put Fruitland together. Because if it's good enough for, if Hebron, if that's a desired impact, a desired thing for Hebron, then it should also be a desired change for Fruitland, shouldn't it?
Well, as long as the deviation isn't off, you know what I mean? Like, as long as that doesn't put District, because you want to add Fruitland to District 4, correct?
No, if we're going to make that change, I'd add it to 2. It should go to 2, the whole thing.
So you would have Hebron and Fruitland
All right.
for District 2?
Right.
Just
I think that's going to throw.
No, actually, no. I think Hebron should be, the environs around Hebron should be moved to 1. Now, if you want to unite Hebron, you put it all in 1.
And if we unite Fruitland, put that all in 2, and then that takes care of the
To
population.
move all of Hebron, move all of Fruitland, that's like 3,500 people. Like,
It is.
so, but we kind of agreed that we didn't want to move that many people.
I agree. We don't want to do that. So, but again, why just because Hebron is small, that means, again, it's inequitable. It's inequitable. Yeah, it's Hebron's small, so let's put that together. Okay, yeah, that's a great
It's an easy
idea.
fix, and it kept everything in line. So, I mean, it was,
Yeah,
you know what I
but-
mean? I think we're trying to, the simple solution to try to fit.
Right, but it's maybe the simplest solution, but what about the people of Fruitland? And I get you. You live in Hebron and you want your community to be together. I agree that is a reasonable request. But if we're going to do that, shouldn't we do that for everyone?
It's not that I necessarily want Hebron together. It was, one of the goals was that towns shouldn't be split. Okay, so let's look at it. Del Mar's already split. So, or no, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not,
No.
yeah. So one of the fixes was, well, let's see what happens when we put Hebron together. So then that worked. So, and if it does, and then if we want to try, Fruitland, but I think that's going to mess with the numbers of 3. Because the rest of 3 is so rural,
Right,
so
exactly.
it's not going to have enough population for 3.
Yes, but I don't know. It doesn't seem just to me. Because Fruitland is split down the middle. Well, Hebron is only a small section of Hebron that's split.
Well, it's like we had 2 problems, let's just say, if splitting towns, and now we only have 1, so I feel like that's a success.
Well,
So
the
if you
people
want
of
to move
Hebron-
Hebron back out, then, I'm just,
No, it is, I agree.
was
I
just-
agree, Julie. It's admirable to put it together. But then every single town on this map would be together, except for Fruitland.
Well, Fruitland's a city, I believe. Fruitland and Salisbury are both cities. The other ones, municipalities, are all considered towns by the state.
And what do you consider Mardella? Or
Pardon?
you're just,
Mardella's a town, too.
you're just looking, but you're just
Mardella.
looking at the town limits. What's considered, right? Because you could say that's split also. It's not all, or it's
No, Mardella's
not
all
Mardella's
two.
together.
No, I think that we're referring to the municipal limits of a town.
right.
So Mardella, the municipal limits of Mardella are all in 2.
But that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, if your mailing address is Mardella, that's different. We're talking about municipal boundaries.
Right.
Though, Julie, maybe you do have a point. If we put the rest of Fruitland in 3 and put Hebron in 2, then what would happen would be that
I don't think taking anything from 2 would be smart, because that district is already low in number. Like, your deviation's gonna be off.
That's true, but what we're taking from 1, and one is the one closest to the desired mean. So why change 1 at all then? Now, if we're just talking
Well, we don't have to
numbers,
change 1, but it does make it more of it goes from 57% to 59%. And the goal was actually to get it, from what I understood, one of the goals was to get it close enough to 60.
whose goal is that?
Isn't that what you said last meeting?
Yes, well, previous years, you had to be above 50%,
Right.
but then get as high as you can above that 50%. And they've, I think last time they were like 58%.
That diminishes the African-American voice, because they aren't 20% of the population. African-American community is 30% of the population. So if you're going to put as many as possible into 1, you've actually diminished the voice of the African-American community, not increased it.
But would they need 40% of the population to be black in order to get 2 districts for their minority requirements? So-
No, I'm saying the law says 51%, so you make a district 51% minority, that increases the African-American voice in other districts, which gives that community an opportunity to gain a second voice on the council, commensurate with their population size in the county. That's what I'm saying.
I'm looking at population data. I'm looking at who we are and where we live. And would the county council reflect who we are and where we live with this map? That's how I'm looking at this. And
Well, like there can be, anybody can run at large. So there's 2 at-large seats. So there's that opportunity. You just keep looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I could argue back that the minority district is at 30, what's like 30-some percent. So then that would mean that the other is 60%. So that would be 3 out of 5, which is 60%. So you adding that is actually diminishing my voice. And so so they could run at large for those 2 seats. So there are 2 other opportunities for minorities to be on the county council that has nothing to do with district lines, because they can be anywhere in the county.
that's true. That's true. But still, making that 60% sounds like an arbitrary number to me.
Well, I was just using your number at 30, so I'm trying to think. So it's really 70%. So really, we're at 3 out of 5 is what you're saying. So we're really actually not represented. If we're supposed to be 70%, it would be like we're at 60%.
We.
I'm just saying, like you're saying, like the black voice, the white voice, the this voice,
No,
the that
actually,
voice.
no, I'm not, I'm saying I'm looking at this from the perspective of services and the services people require from their local government. And the needs and the desires of people who live in built-up areas is different than the needs and desires of people in rural areas. So I'm not looking at it from the perspective of race or
But how do you know what the needs and wants are of a rural community? They don't even have city water.
exactly,
whatever.
but that's the point.
My point is that you're talking about one group of, I can't, I'm having a hard time like following the logic right now.
Well, the logic is like, we have 3 districts with people who live in rural districts as the majority of the population. So the issues that are important to people in rural districts are gonna be different from people in built-up areas. Now, those of us who live in the built-up center,
Go ahead, yeah.
But I was going to say, on the council, each person has 1 vote.
exactly.
Right.
And that's where the problem lies. If each council member had a vote commensurate with the population of their district, it would.
Each one gets 20,000 people.
well,
That's the thing.
yeah.
It's one voice, it's 1 vote for 20,000 people.
Yeah, and the problem
And
is
that-
67,000 of us have 2 voices. That's the problem.
Well, I think that's a plus. I only am represented by 1 person. That's 1 vote.
Plus, again, you have those at-large seats as well.
Yeah.
That can be
Yeah.
anyone.
Dr. Nagel?
Thank you. I want to go back, actually, I'd like to go back a half an hour, but I'm not going to do that. But I will go back roughly 2 minutes where it was stated that that black people have a good chance to elect councilmen at large, and remind everybody that the reason that we have a minority district is that in the 100 years between Reconstruction and when 1 man, 1 vote made us have district voting, there was, I believe, 1 African-American councilman elected in those 100 years. So to say that African-Americans have a great chance of being elected district-wide is a stretch. Would I be happy to vote for 1? Sure. But, so that's inaccurate. But in an effort to get things moving, can I make either a motion or a recommendation that this commission ask Mr. McKenzie to come up with some nice data and maps, or a map, covering Mr. Danderson's request. We did it for, we have one for request for Hebron. I think that's fair. But Mr. McKenzie may not think it's fair because he'll have to do the work. But I would really appreciate having a more clear or less confused idea of what those changes in Fruitland would be.
I can, certainly work up some different scenarios for this. if the goal is to have Fruitland in one, either District 2 or District 3, I can do that and then see what that does to the other districts.
And one other thing, I think it was stated that our charge is not to look at equity. Well, we weren't specifically charged with that, but we would be foolish not to look at making sure that our districts are equitable. America's about having free and fair elections.
Absolutely. I was just saying, I'm trying to follow the guidelines of what was given to me and what I signed a paper stating. So.
And if you don't mind, I'm not going to refer to them as higher
Oh,
ups.
no, you're fine. No, it's fine. I mean, and I'm okay with that. I just, I'm feeling like, we were given a specific task, and I feel like what the wants are, the needs, they're larger than what we can do here by November, December, the date that we said we were gonna have this done. And I'm afraid that it won't be accomplished, in what we need. So this probably should have started in March, but it didn't. It started in, what were we in, July, August?
We can blame the Department of Commerce for that.
Right.
In this county.
We needed the data, right, and we needed the data. So it's a very large task, and I don't know if we even have that power to do that. You know what I mean? Based on,
But we don't have power to do anything. Whatever we do can be, and likely will be, either completely changed or slightly modified by the
Right.
council.
right,
Okay? So, so we're not going to be overly zealous, but we ought to do the best we can. That's what I'm saying.
and I don't want you
We
to
ought to
also
do the
that
best
the
we
county
can.
council people don't want changes made. I've talked to every single one of them, and if I actually listened, or if we did what they want, we would be moving tens of thousands of people to make their districts. So it has nothing to do with them keeping everything the same because they want to make sure to ensure their seat. If I was doing what they had asked, it would be thousands and thousands of people because some of these things don't even make sense to them. So let's just get that straight.
Okay, so we're not going to make any more decisions on the maps tonight, is that my understanding? You want to see a new map from Mr. McKinsey?
I think we need to decide which map we don't want right now and eliminate a couple of those right now, and then we just have the couple to deal with for.
That's okay.
Poor Frank. Thanks, Frank.
I think that following that lead, much as I would like to see all of the council districts be within 1% or 0.5%, we can't move 4,000 people without, and it's going to get voted down anyways. Why would we do that? It'd be like, moving the incumbents out of their districts. Well, no, we're not going to do that.
Now, if I may, this area in here, just done in red.
Yeah.
So as an experiment, I temporarily assigned that to District 2.
Describe that just slightly so that way when we go to do the minutes, we know.
Basically, it's
Town of Fruitland.
putting all of town of Fruitland in District 2. Right now, the
On behalf
deviation.
of Fruitland, it's the city of Fruitland.
Right.
Right.
So this is not adjusting anything else. Right now, the deviation is, in District 2, is 4,327 people. District 3 is, they lost 3,554 with a deviation of 17% in District 3, and District 2 is now 20% above.
What if we did it in reverse, though? Instead of putting
So if I took-
Fruitland in 2, putting Fruitland in 3.
Okay, let's try
That's a
that.
smaller area.
Let's get Tony Tank. So here we've got District 3 is a deviation of plus 11.89%. District 2 is negative 8%. So in order for this to happen, we'd have to chop up District 4 as you see it there and see what happens with, the only place you can work is in District 1. And that's kind of been an area that you want to protect. You kind of, once you find something, you kind of want to lock that in. So really, the only place you could make up those areas is something in District 4 and District 5. And I don't know how, it would take some effort to figure that out. Now, I can certainly try.
4 doesn't touch on 5, it touches on 3. That's all 3, the whitest 3.
But in order to, once we start messing with 3, then we're going to have to say, okay, how we're going to get some more people in there. Like I said before, it's like a whack-a-mole. Yeah. Once you start moving this around, then you start looking at, when you take it from one district, it affects the other district. And so it just takes a series of testing to see how we could move this forward. And I can certainly try and see, come up with something that doesn't look too gerrymandered, but I don't have much confidence that it will not look gerrymandered.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause you
And
can't-
also moving these lines, the one thing I think, when whatever the council, once we present it to the council, they can either adjust it or like it or not like it. Is that the problem?
They are going to hold a public hearing. They're required to hold a public hearing on the plan that we recommend to them. And then they can make a decision on that. It'll also may have to make some decisions when Mr. Gutierrez from the Board of Elections gets the state maps, because there may be some changes. We've had that happen before with the precincts because the lines kind of need to match up. So there will be changes made.
In one of the elections prior to the establishment of the Redistricting Commission, I worked with the county attorney, and there was a 2-map submittal for the council's consideration. One of them was the minimal impact, and one of them was something closer to the ideal population, and the council had a choice. This was 1980 election, I believe.
Okay, I was going to say that's a while ago because the charter says a plan is submitted, which to me means
Yeah,
one.
I think after, that might have been changed after, but don't hold me to this. If my memory's cloudy, it's been.
You've been doing this a long time, huh, Frank? Okay, are there any maps you do not want to reconsider? Because we're getting to 25 after 5, but quarter to 5:45, we need to probably adjourn this meeting. So we've got a few more minutes.
I'm all for getting rid of 2 of them, balanced and minimal,
No.
and just working with the 2% in the request.
Would you like to make that a motion?
I disagree with that. I think we need to keep the minimum. I mean, I definitely think the balance should go, but we need to keep that minimum.
Okay, well, I think what we would need to do is vote on one map at a time. I don't think we should include 2 in the motion, so would you like to make
Make a motion that we get rid of the balanced map.
Just as a point of order, can we, Dr. Nagel made a motion for Frank to do research regarding moving Fruitland. That motion was never seconded. I realize Frank sort of did that here.
Yeah, he said he would do it, so.
Well,
Do you
there
still-
was a motion on the floor. If it's withdrawn, that just sort of clarifies that for the record.
Do you want to make,
Well, I still expect him to do it. If he needs a motion, I
should
can
be a
try and
second.
scramble up 4 votes.
There's,
for it.
yes, there should be, you've made a motion and requested while we were here. He entertained that to a degree. I don't know if that's placated everybody. So your motion's still on the floor. It needs to either be seconded or no one needs to second it, and then it would die.
Okay, thanks.
all right, do I have a second to Dr. Nagel's motion?
You want to see it?
Pardon?
Kel, I second.
All right, we have a second, then we need a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. And,
Sure, there's further discussion.
okay. Do you want discussion? We've kind of had some discussion. We've had a lot of discussion already.
I guess maybe just how much work would it be for you to, I know you played with it a little bit. It looks like there's going to be some,
There'll be some art trying
Which-
to make this work, and I'm certainly willing to give it a
Okay.
shot.
I mean, I'm certainly in favor of entertaining it just to see it.
So anybody else want to add some comments or discussion? Okay, now we can go with the vote. Thanks for keeping me straight. Trying to keep me straight, guys. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, and I will vote aye. Okay, so we're going to work on that for next time.
That's okay. So this is Fruitland only. We're not worried about Hebron right now, or that's a separate discussion?
Just Fruitland, I think.
It's just Fruitland.
The motion had to do with what Mr. Dennison was proposing in southern areas of
Okay.
Salisbury, Fruitland, Coney Tank area.
So you wanted to try to keep Fruitland together, just like we're trying to do with
I
the,
don't care about that.
No.
I want
Okay.
to know what, I want to see graphically and statistically what effects Mr. Danderson's ideas would have.
Which were changes in 1604 and 1605. Which were changes to blocks and precincts 16004 and 16005, moving them from 3 to districts 1 and districts 2. Just for clarification.
Or
I'm sorry, did I say 1? 4.
Yeah.
Sorry, correction, 4 and 2. Sorry, thank you.
I guess I'll have to get the minutes for this, because it's starting to run together to me now.
You have to go to the tape.
Okay, well, all right, so the discussions ran together, Frank. So the issue I originally rose is if we want to make minimal changes, because it kind of, Fruitland and Hebron and this issue got combined, while making the map more equitable and more reflective of the population of the county, we could move blocks blocks from precincts 16004 and 16005 from 3 to District 4 and District 2 to get them the population.
so it's not putting the whole town of Fruitland, municipal boundaries of Fruitland in one district, is what you're saying.
It's pretty clear that that's too big of a change.
Okay, do we need to have another motion on that, or is that
I think you just
clear?
clarified.
Just clarified?
Yes.
We okay with that?
As long as no one really seems to have an objection. It was unanimous. If anyone feels as though they would have voted opposite based on this
Clarification?
clarification, I guess then,
It's just the scenario, correct? Like him just pulling the scenario?
Same as what we have, it's just another one of these.
Okay.
Now, can we go back to the balance map, which had the movement of 3,000, or do we still want to wait and see what that might?
Though I like the deviation on it, of course, but I think, again, it's too many people to move. So I just made the motion that we eliminate that map.
We will need a second to do that.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second. Now, discussion. Anybody else make any comments on that? Okay, then we will go to a vote. All those in,
Actually, I do have one point of clarification on that, because the minimal map included that change that we voted on last time. Just for clarification, if we vote this map down, does that change still remain?
We're just,
got it.
we're just talking on the balance map, that's it.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just the balance map.
just one of the four maps.
That change, I think, stays on any map that he does going
Right,
forward.
yes, that should stay.
All right.
Okay, are we ready now to have a vote? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Right, and I am voting aye. Okay, so we're going to cross off the balance map. So we were down to the 2% minimal requests, and now another one. Okay, is there any other discussion for tonight before we, got about 10 minutes left? Anybody else want to talk about anything? Yes.
Would you like for me to have these maps posted on your webpage for the public to see?
Should we do that since we haven't made a real decision yet? Or is that up, I mean, because our purpose is to come with basically one map. So I'm not sure, and we are not here for public input. That would be the county council with their public hearing, if I'm correct on that.
Well, that doesn't mean we won't get any. This thing is going to be on TV.
Well, that is true.
These are public meetings, so, I mean,
Okay.
the public's invited.
Okay, what do you all think? Do you want her to publish them on the Redistricting Commission website?
I didn't even know we had a website.
Yes, we do. It's under wicomicocounty.org, under government, under county council, and if you look down, it says Redistricting Commission. So that's how you can find it. And right now, there should be 2 sets of minutes after tonight. And then do you want to include the maps? Eliminating the balance map, right? Since we voted to not do that. So that means she would post the 2% map, the minimal map, and the request map. I mean, they're not very big. You try to print them out, they're only going to come out by 8.5 by 11. But,
Well, I can take this map and create a PDF of that, and then people at the university could print it out the same size if they wanted to. I mean, anybody's got a plotter can make a full-size map.
okay, what about magnifying and shrinking and,
If you shrink it down,
I mean, minimizing, and magnifying and then being able to minimize it again. You know how sometimes you click on a map, and if you keep magnifying it, you
It'll
get,
zoom in.
Yeah, it'll zoom into the street level if he does that.
if I do the big one, it'll zoom into the street level.
okay,
But if you try to print out that map that's created for a wall map, when you try to print it out on a regular printer, you're not going to be able to read. It's going to be very busy.
Yeah.
It would require a different map altogether to put something that would be readable at 8.5 by 11. And some of these areas are so small, it'd be difficult to know what you're dealing with on 8.5 by 11.
I guess I don't see why, since PAC 14 couldn't zero in on these tonight to put them up there. Is there any reason we shouldn't do that? Can't do that legally?
I mean, that's fine. It's open meeting. Somebody in theory could issue an MPIA and it would be discoverable. So
Okay, all right, then Frank, why don't you do that?
One thing I can do in all of these is just call it draft.
Yes,
Absolutely.
please.
Yeah.
Yes, good idea. Label that as a draft.
Watermark across the.
It'll be big letters all across it.
Okay, anything else this evening? Okay, then before we adjourn, I'm just going to say our next meeting right now is scheduled for October 20th at 6 p.m. I believe that's a Wednesday. And for the,
I'm sorry, but I guess I should have spoke up last time, but I'm not gonna be able to be at that meeting. Possibly because I'm gonna be out of town, so, I guess I'm asking, what does that mean for my vote? Because I hate to miss a meeting.
well, right now, we only have October 20th scheduled and November 10th scheduled, and a lot of that is because this room is used by other groups, and since we're subject to the Open Meetings Act, we have the meeting in this room, and also so PAC 14 can record the meeting. So we couldn't work out any other dates.
I would have to go back down and get the calendar. I mean, if you want me to do that, I can do that real quick.
I'm gonna be out of town, from that Wednesday to probably that Monday.
Go down and get the calendar real quick.
Okay, that would be great, thank you.
so, but
Because I'm still trying, if we,
it's there. Like, you've already partially done it, like, you moved,
so if you're saying
it's like, yeah, that's,
anything west of 13 would go into 2?
yeah, and then.
Anything that would go into 4?
Just so the, just so the populations are more equal, that's what we're trying to do, right? And
There's not a prohibition, but if they,
moving
if they
Two.
leave.
Not this, I mean,
not the whole thing.
Not the whole- not all of
Just the
Fruitland.
northern end, just the northern
okay.
end. Until you get more, until the numbers are closer. Just keep doing it until the numbers reflect the 20,800.
Okay. So we will, right now, Fruitland is in 2 districts. This way it's going to be in 3.
It will be in 3, yeah.
Question, Frank, if commission members want to look at one of these maps between now and the next meeting, where are they going to be kept? Or where can they look at them,
I can
besides the website?
print out copies for everybody if you wish. Or,
No. No, people are saying no.
I love maps.
I've looked at enough.
To me, that's a waste of money.
I'll buy paper with a 500-foot roll.
Still, the county pays for it.
Yeah, but it's still our money that they're spending,
That's what I
remember?
mean.
But, you know, a map might cost $1.28 to print out. So, I mean, don't let that cost be an issue.
Okay, well, you probably would not have to print out the minimal map, right? Because that's only involves a small section, so it would only be the 2% and the requests right now, and then possibly the third map you're going to work on. Is that possible too? I mean, so who would like a copy of the maps, I guess, is what we need to ask. Anybody want a
I
copy?
knew you was going to do it.
Okay, we have one person.
Frank, these.
I'll gladly pay for it.
No, you don't have to pay for it.
PDF is fine for me.
Yeah, I'll stick with the PDF too.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay, so
We can share down here. It'll be okay. We can look at one.
So you two want copies of the map too?
Just like one between the two of us. I mean, if we could have one, to look at
Okay.
when we come.
I mean, they could take these maps, current maps home, right?
you can take, yeah, sure.
Here, why don't you take,
I'll take, and then whatever one you work up, I'd probably like a copy of that one too.
okay.
I'll pick it up before
Well,
the,
why don't we do this? See what you come up with, and then we'll see maybe we'll let Laura see who wants what maps, or who doesn't have them.
Oh, I thought you meant the new one that he's making for next meeting.
Oh, I was thinking, do you want copies of these current maps?
No, I don't need it. No, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we post them online, you'll be able to view them that way as well.
Okay.
And
Well,
we
let's
can
see how,
also just email them so you'll have them.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
No, you could do that.
That's fine.
so we have it in advance to look at. Okay, that might be a good idea. Okay, what did you come up with dates?
So if we stick with the every other week meeting, the only thing that's open the first week of October is Friday, October the 8th. I don't know if anyone is wanting to meet on a Friday evening, or 4 o'clock would be okay again.
Not here.
Not here.
You're not good on the 8th. Okay.
No.
All right, so I know the following week was not good for you or me, Frank. So then we're looking again at the week of October the 19th. Bernadette said the 20th did not work for her. That was the Wednesday that week. Friday, the 22nd.
I'll be out of town.
Yeah.
You're out of town.
Right. You're right.
I don't
that
like
week
Friday.
is Monday- Monday and Tuesday, and I guess those are out.
Well, council meets, the 19th, they would meet in the evening, right? Third,
19th, we meet during the day.
oh, that's during the day.
They have a meeting from 6 to 9 in this room at 301. It's the licensing commission, I believe, that's meeting.
Okay. What about Monday, the 18th?
city council.
No, okay, got it.
So Wednesday, the 27th is open. if you would like to meet on Wednesday, October the 27th.
And then the next one after that, we were looking at November 10th. So what do you all think? The 27th would be at what, 6 o'clock?
Earlier, or the 6 o'clock, whatever works for you guys.
Yeah, because we'd like to be done before, hopefully before Thanksgiving and everybody gets busy with the holidays, if we can manage it. So what do you think, the 27th instead of the 20th? Does that work for everybody?
I think it's a long time.
Yes, it is. And there's nothing, how about Thursday the 14th or
Always
Tuesday the
check,
12th?
I can check the availability of the Civic Center. That might be another option. Projector there as well.
Okay, PAC 14 can record there too.
The fire department, because the PAC 14 can operate there too.
I've not used the fire department, but I can definitely.
Station 16,
Yeah, 16.
talking about 16.
That's an option.
All right, why don't you try some other options so we can meet sooner?
Do you want to
If
tentatively
possible.
schedule it for the 27th, and then I can email everyone with some other dates?
We're canceling the 20th for sure.
I think it'd be nice to have everybody here if we can do it. So let's take off the 20th then. We'll do, tentatively put the 27th, and I'd like to see if we can get a meeting in between. Okay. And what will you do, email out some dates once you have some information? Okay, that would be great. Okay, anything else this evening? All right, do we have a motion then to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I assume no discussion. So all those in favor? Aye. All right, meeting is adjourned.